What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be talking about the latest craziness that just took place in the Attack on Titan story. The backstory of Ymir Fritz, the original Titan and the progenitor of all the other Titans, was finally revealed. But more than that, the ending of the latest chapter threw everything we thought we knew into another massive tailspin, and things will never be the same again. There is just so much to talk about, so let's get into it. If you enjoy the Attack on Titan content on this channel and you want us to keep going, please leave a like to let me know. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar for all the latest Attack on Titan news and updates. And finally, of course, this video will contain manga spoilers. We're talking about the latest developments in the Attack on Titan manga, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. By the way, I know from the comments that quite a few people would like me to publish my take on the new Attack on Titan chapters as soon as they drop. But aside from the time it naturally takes to produce a video, with these last 3 Attack on Titan chapters in particular, I have felt the need to take my time and really contemplate what happened before rushing to write a script. The chapters have kind of left me speechless after first reading them, and it takes me a while to organize my thoughts. But I hope that when the videos do come out, you will find them useful and entertaining, and thank you for sticking with me. The title of chapter 122 is From You 2,000 Years Ago, which is a direct reference and continuation to the title of the first chapter, To You 2,000 Years From Now. This is addressed later on in the chapter, so I will talk about it in a little bit. The chapter starts off with a flashback of Frida teaching Historia about Ymir Fritz. In this flashback, Frida tells Historia that Ymir Fritz was ladylike and a kind girl who's always thinking of others. Remember this for later, because this subtly reveals a lot, including the very warped mind state of Frida and the entire Fritz/Reese royal family. Frida tells Historia that the world is full of pain and suffering, and for this reason Historia should live as someone everybody loves, and someone who depends on others and whom others can depend on. Frida is implying that Historia should be like Ymir Fritz. She even refers to Ymir by Historia's former name, Krista, when telling the story. The more this chapter unfolds, the more messed up Frida's message to Historia becomes in hindsight. We then finally get the real backstory of Ymir and the true origins of the Titan powers themselves. We learn that Ymir was a slave, one of many slaves that were serving the ancient Eldian kingdom of that time. We can assume that these slaves were not Eldians themselves, but rather a different group of people that the Eldians conquered, unless the Eldians enslaved a segment of their own population, like a tribe that rebelled against them or something like that. Regardless of who exactly they were, the slaves were treated terribly, tortured, maimed, and abused on a daily basis. We see a scene where the Eldian ruler asks a large group of slaves which of them set a pig free. Apparently, someone allowed a pig to escape, maybe by accident or maybe on purpose as a form of rebellion. The Eldian ruler demands that the culprit identify himself or herself, otherwise every slave will lose an eye as punishment. A large group of slaves then points to Ymir, the same short girl that we saw in the unknown land where the coordinate resides. Ymir does not protest, but we are not sure if she actually did release the pig or if she is just covering for the others because she doesn't want them to suffer and she would rather sacrifice herself. The Eldian ruler tells her that she is now free, and we cut to a scene of poor little Ymir running through the woods as Eldian soldiers on horseback are hunting her for sport, even using dogs to track her. At this point I am kind of leaning towards the idea that Ymir did indeed release the pig. Perhaps she felt bad for the pig and wanted to allow the pig a chance to be free, a chance that she herself would never have, and that is why the Eldian ruler mocks Ymir later by telling her that she is free as he proceeds to hunt her through the woods. In her attempt to get away, Ymir is injured by arrows, she is bleeding from one of her eyes, and she is barely moving. She stumbles upon a massive tree with an opening at the bottom. She walks into that opening in order to hide, but there is a hole inside the opening and she stumbles and falls. She plunges into water and it appears that she is about to drown. Then, suddenly, something that looks like a disembodied spinal cord attaches itself to Ymir's back, and in the next moment we see the entire tree explode as a massive female titan appears. Ymir has turned into the very first titan, and this titan appears to have all the 9 powers within itself, because even though it has the appearance of a female titan, it seems to be the size of a colossal titan, so presumably all the titan powers are currently combined into this one Ymir titan. I have no idea what this disembodied spinal cord thing was, and I have mixed feelings about this aspect of the backstory. Was this some sort of ancient organism that slumbered for millions of years and then somehow activated when it came into contact with Ymir? Some sort of ancient parasite maybe? Or was this some type of alien creature that crashed to Earth on a meteor and waited for millions of years to finally find a host? Is this basically the arrow from JoJo's? I honestly don't know, and this part of the story felt too much like a fairy tale to me, and fairy tale vibes is not something that I'm accustomed to when it comes to Attack on Titan. I had always predicted that the story about the Earth Devil was just a myth, and that there was no real devil at all. But my thinking was that Titan powers were the result of some sort of primitive genetic experimentation, perhaps combining human genes with the genes of animals, including massive animals like whales and elephants, and eventually that led to the creation of a Titan virus that only affected Eldians. However, unless we get more information about this later, it appears that Titans were created accidentally after some mysterious and clearly supernatural creature attached itself to Ymir. The chapter then cuts to a scene where the Eldian ruler tells an obedient Ymir that she has worked well for him. Just like the Eldian restorationists believed in their own secret history books, Ymir's Titan cultivated the land, built bridges across mountains, and allowed Eldia to expand dramatically. We now know that Marleyan history was partially wrong, because there was no deal with the devil, and all that crap about Eldians being devils and spawn of the devil was nothing but propaganda. But the Eldian restorationist view of history wasn't accurate either. Ymir wasn't the wise and benevolent ruler of the Eldian Empire. She might not have been Eldian at all. Instead, Ymir was the subservient and obedient slave of the Eldian ruler, and he used her to expand Eldia and to destroy his Marleyan rivals. The Eldian ruler and his followers were just as brutal and ruthless towards the Marleyans as the Marleyans are towards the Eldians today, so as we could have guessed, there are no good guys and bad guys here. There are two sides who want power and who want to dominate others, and historically they were willing to do terrible things to other people in order to achieve their militaristic goals. As a reward for her faithful service, the ruthless Eldian ruler tells Ymir that he will allow her to bear his children, not because he cares about Ymir at all, but because he wants his children to inherit the Titan powers so that they could keep using Titans to dominate the world in the name of Eldia. Ymir Fritz was not actually Ymir Fritz. She became a Fritz only when she was forced to marry the Eldian ruler, who bore the Fritz family name, and so through this Eldian ruler and Ymir, the modern Eldian royal family was born. Ymir then had 3 daughters with this Eldian ruler, Maria, Rose, and Sheena. The 3 walls on Paradise are named after these 3 daughters. We then see a panel of pregnant Ymir looking very similar to pregnant Historia from earlier on in the manga, and a very clear parallel between the 2 girls is being made over and over again. It really makes you think what the Reese family might have done to Historia if they had remained in power. And it also makes you think about what Isayama may still be planning to do to Historia before the story is over. As Eldians defeated the Marleyans using the incredible power of Ymir's Titan, Marleyan soldiers and officers were brought before the Eldian royals and made to bow to the ruler of Eldia. One of those Marleyan officers then attempts to assassinate the Eldian ruler with a hidden spear, but Ymir throws herself in front of the king in order to shield him with her body. The spear manages to tear through Ymir's spinal cord, and as a result she actually dies. She is not able to use her Titan powers to recover. The Eldian ruler tells Ymir to rise. No mere spear should be able to kill her, and she was born to serve him, so she must rise. But Ymir does not rise. Instead, her consciousness finds itself inside that unknown land where Zeke and Eren have found themselves in recent chapters, the land of the coordinate. Back in the physical world, the Eldian ruler forces Ymir's 3 daughters to eat their mother's remains, including presumably her spinal fluids, in order to inherit Ymir's Titan powers so that they can be passed on to future generations, and so that the Eldians can continue dominating the world with the power of the Titans. In a previous video that I made back in July of 2019 about the secret history of Attack on Titan, I said that I believed that Ymir's daughters had to eat her body in order to inherit her power, and I thought this because during the season 2 anime ending, we can see an image of what looks to be 3 girls eating the body of a woman with a king standing over them. It turns out that this is indeed what happened. On his deathbed, the Eldian ruler tells the daughters of Ymir to have their own children eat their spines upon their death in order to continue passing the Titan powers on to new generations of Eldians. That is presumably how the 9 Titan shifter powers became separate, although at this point we can't be sure why exactly they separated into only 9 instead of even more. Ymir's consciousness or essence or whatever it is continues to faithfully build the frames of the Titans in the unknown world, but in that moment the backstory ends and we return to Eren holding Ymir and trying to stop her from obeying Zeke's order. Eren says that he will put an end to this world right now. He tells Ymir that she is not a slave or a god, she is just a normal person. She doesn't need to serve anyone, she can choose her own future. And Eren asks Ymir to lend him her power so that he can end all of this right now. Zeke screams and orders Ymir to obey his command. He raves about how he is descended from royal blood and how she must listen to him. But while Zeke is saying all of this and acting a lot like the old Eldian ruler who enslaved Ymir in the first place, Eren tells Ymir that he knows that she was the one who led him here. She has been waiting for 2,000 years for someone, for him, to come and end this long cycle of suffering. This chapter all but confirms the fact that Ymir deliberately reached out to Eren, to you 2,000 years from now, at the very beginning of the story, and now, finally, Eren has found her, to you 2,000 years ago. It's almost as if Ymir planned it all, a plan 2,000 years in the making. But what exactly does Ymir want to accomplish? On that note, what exactly does Eren want to accomplish? What kind of crazy world-ending twist is about to happen next? We then see Ymir's eyes finally open. She is crying, her teeth are gritting, and then we are thrown back into the outside world. Eren's head, which had been separated from his body, begins to grow a massive elongated spine which will presumably allow him to reattach his head to his body. Meanwhile, the walls on Paradise begin to shatter as the millions of colossal titans finally break free. Eren is also apparently transforming into a titan yet again, but I predict that this will be a completely new form of titan, a titan form that combines the powers of Eren and Ymir. But what happens now? The rumbling is here. Millions of colossal titans have been released. The walls have been broken. But what is Eren going to do now? Let's assume that Eren can control the millions of wall titans, and let's assume that Eren's titan form is now going to be even stronger thanks to the power of Ymir. Surely now the likes of Reiner, Zeke, and Peak will not be a threat to Eren. So is he going to use the colossal titans to destroy Marley? In the past, many of us have pointed out the similarities between Eren and Lelouch, and how the Attack on Titan ending might end up being similar to the Code Geass ending. The idea was that Eren might end up sacrificing himself so that everyone else can live in peace. But now, at least from the looks of it, Eren might end up being closer to Light Yagami than to Lelouch. He might decide to destroy the world, at least all parts of it he doesn't like, and then emerge from the chaos as the god of this new world. This could be Eren's own personal Ragnarok, and only those whom Eren deems worthy will be allowed to survive. Before I get into Ragnarok and how Norse mythology might provide clues for how the story of Attack on Titan might end, let's address some of the other important reveals from this chapter and what they mean for the story. First, it was revealed that Ymir died as a result of a spear severing her spine. She did not die because of any sort of illness or curse. So, what was all that stuff about the curse of Ymir? If Ymir herself didn't die because of any curse, why do her descendants seemingly suffer from an illness that kills them after 13 years of possessing one of the Titan shifter powers? Since we know that Ymir was a normal human before she became a Titan, so she didn't have any supernatural powers or abilities that made her immune to this so-called curse, The only thing that I can think of is that having all of the powers at once, like Ymir had, allows the person to live longer with the Titan powers. This means that Eren, who currently has 3 Titan powers, may be capable of living longer than the 13 years, especially if he can consume all 9 powers at some point in the future and become just like the original Ymir. And since we're on the topic of the 9 powers, why did the Titan powers split up into 9 powers specifically instead of even more? If the powers kept being passed down, why didn't they also keep splitting? What's so special about the number 9 if all these Titans started as one single power? Moreover, how did all Eldians gain the ability to transform into Titans? Especially if Ymir herself wasn't actually Eldian either, but rather a slave of the Eldian ruler and therefore probably a member of a rival nation or tribe. I understand that the direct descendants of Ymir who consumed the spinal fluid of her and her children would have their DNA altered, but does this mean that every single Eldian alive today is a direct descendant of Ymir Fritz? I understand that it's been a long time, so it's not impossible for one person to become the common ancestor of a large number of people. But if that were the case, then what happened to all of the Eldians who were not direct descendants of Ymir? Maybe at some point all Eldians were injected with a portion of Ymir's blood or spinal fluid in order to turn them into stronger warriors or something along those lines, but we will still need more information before we can say for sure. I was personally pretty confused by the whole curse aspect and the fact that all Eldians somehow became capable of turning into Titans, but only Eldians and no one else. Now let's talk about the rumbling and where the story could be heading from here. In a previous video about the paths, I talked about all the many references that Attack on Titan makes to Norse mythology, starting from the frost giant Ymir and extending to the Yggdrasil tree and a ton of other references. In fact, the tree in which Ymir tries to hide in and then ends up falling and becoming a Titan is almost certainly another direct reference to Yggdrasil. With the rumbling finally occurring at the end of chapter 122, it is clear that we are heading towards an Attack on Titan version of Ragnarok. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok is the prophecy about an apocalyptic series of events that will lead to a great war, to the deaths of many, including the deaths of the gods themselves, and to natural disasters that will destroy the entire world. But after these cataclysmic events, the world will be renewed and 2 human survivors will repopulate the earth once again. So what does this mean for Attack on Titan? I don't think we will literally see everyone on Earth die except for 2 people, but we are going to see some sort of Ragnarok equivalent. The big question is, what are Ymir and Eren planning to do? Certainly if he wanted to protect Paradise alone and defeat Reiner Peak, the Marleyans who infiltrated the island and so on, Eren would not need to use the rumbling, especially now that Ymir is seemingly on his side. The fact that the rumbling is happening means that Eren has bigger plans. Plans that might involve destroying the entire Marleyan army and all the other armies of the world who were plotting to invade Paradise along with Marley. But even if Eren succeeds in doing this, and even if Eldians become dominant once again because of the power of Ymir and the Wall Titans, what will happen next? Eren doesn't want to become the new Eldian king and just do the same cruel and brutal things that those rulers did. He wants to destroy the old world and create a new one and a better one. But how is he going to do it? Is he going to try to destroy all modern weapons and force people to be peaceful using the power of the Titans? Is he going to just kill everyone except a select few people that he considers worthy? Is he going to do something else entirely? We really can't be sure for now, but I predict that Eren's plan will be very different from Zeke's, because Zeke's plan to rid the world of Eldians and with them Titan powers was pointless in my opinion. We live in a world with no Titan powers, but we still have war and suffering. If they didn't have Titans, the humans of Attack on Titan would just fight using other weapons. Because of Grisha's conversation with Zeke in chapter 121, it is safe to assume that whichever path Eren embraces, it will be a brutal one and many will have to suffer in order for the world to be born anew after the rumbling, after Ragnarok. I also believe that Historia and Historia's baby are going to play an important role in the future of the world, and I don't think that Levi is really dead. But beyond that, it's hard to make any more specific speculations. Overall, this was an extremely interesting and important chapter, even though I personally wasn't a huge fan of the way that Ymir became a Titan in the first place. I wanted some more interesting explanation for the origins of Titan powers, although we may still get additional information in the future. Let me know what you guys think. Did you like this chapter? And what in the world do you think Eren is going to do next? Also, do you agree with me that the disembodied spine thing was kind of anticlimactic? Or do you think it's fine? Let me know down in the comments. I always love when we get a good Attack on Titan discussion going. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please leave a like to let me know. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar for all the latest Attack on Titan news and updates. I want to give a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. Special thank you to all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, Angel Cruz, Steelers, Poet Pablo, Atropos Wraith, $50 Beat, Ekarot GN, Anatoly Kazitsky, and Lord Auberg. And of course, a massive thank you to all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who stand above all other clans, including Ingrata, Alolanadam, Matty Mac, Mako Takun, and ya boy Seth. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron-only Discord. And to show our gratitude, your name will appear in our videos along with these amazing people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.